participants, Mr. Rikesh and Pawan. And we have other also to join in. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Investigation of doing what?
Hi. Okay, so let me just start this demonstration session. Welcome you all to this data science presentation. And I call this as From Numbers to Impact in Our Real World. The reason is you can see in the right side, which is a picture that has some kind of data, that some kind of numbers that it identifies, it uses it in order to classify if the face is anger, disgust, or things like that. And hence I call it as numbers to impact in a real world. Because before that, before our meaningful information, it was all about some perceptions of human mind and not actually in mathematical modeling. Moving forward, this demonstration and also this course will be taken up by me. My name is Sharik Ahmed Khan, and I have 3+ years experience in training and mentoring in AI, machine learning, and Internet of Things. And I use AI, machine learning, and Internet of Things, and also Internet of Things into machine learning. Now, the reason why I interchangeably use these terms is because I introduced this technique called Welcome to the world where machine wants to speak through Internet of Things and machine wants to learn through machine learning. I've also published a research in curve fitting nonlinear least square algorithms, which is published in Europe in my university while I was doing my master's. And I've also trained more than 400+ hours of online and instructor-led training. For this agenda of demonstration, I have some what is data science all about, like concise theory about it, some case study which will be part of our curriculum, AI as a part of data science. I'll be discussing about neural networks and how machine learning image classification help take place. I will have some basic question from the audience and some practical about pandas that will give you a glimpse of data science and what other ongoing projects do I have personally, which when you take up the course, you can be a part of it. Starting with what is data science, you might have heard of this data science buzzword in many of the articles. It talks about that three big circles. I have that in the next presentation, that it is about the coding, statistical and mathematical and everything combined in one place, and it comes out to be a data science. But it's basically, if you compare and contrast with real life, it's basically a recipe of cooking a food basically. So it's about getting a data pre-processing, implementing some kind of algorithms that represents that pre-processed data, and finding some conclusion and generating a report. Now you will get to know about these things when basically it's about when you try to get the data. For example, you might have come across some people who are taking up the surveys of you in malls, asking you if did you like this X shampoo or perfumes. So some of you would say, yeah, I did like it. No, I didn't like it. Some would say, I would say no, yes, or maybe I don't want to give my opinion on that because I'm not really sure of that. So these are the responses that acts as a data based on the questions that the person asked from you. Now, coming back to this thing that you might have seen in most of the blogs. So data science is part of some computer skills, some mathematics, some domains of business. So basically a person who is a data scientist, he interacts between his engineer team and also business people. So basically you have to convey, you have to story tell about the data to the people who are investors. You can't really be just about, this is the 10,000s of lines and this is how the algorithms is going on and things like that. Maybe you have to precisely tell them that this is our experience of the data and then this is how our forecast will be in 10 years. And if I quote one line, you will understand that about one part of machine learning. It is this is very widely quote about a line called "Padhoge likhoge banoge kharab" and all those things, where our parents basically tries to use our experience and put on us, telling that if you do such acts, your forecast will be that you will be a good person. And if you continue doing playing around, so your forecast is possibly that you will be a bad boy. So this is basically a prediction, which is one part of your data science called your machine learning. Now, coming to what a specific part of data science. Now, we have seen in the backslide that the data science consists of machine learning, some mathematical skills, some programming, and some business domain expertise. But then machine learning is itself a part of AI, a small part of AI. And of that part is a neural network. Basically, it's nothing but one approach of for machine learning, and it is basically used for feature extraction. And what do I mean by feature extraction is, if you remember the first slide that I basically imposed, it consists of an image, and it consists of image where we were trying to classify if the person is angry or happy, sad, upset, or things like that. So we had an image. We tried to pick the features about the image and then try to classify based on our classification models. This is what the neural networks concisely means. And common application of this goes into face detection and face recognition. And can I ask something about from you guys? Can you make a little small difference between what is the difference between face detection and face recognition? Can anyone have a general response about that? Okay, no problem. So whenever we meet someone, and if we don't know that person, we would say that I know this face. So you understand that the person you're trying to talk is a human. So you're trying to detect that, okay, this guy is this one. But then when you try to recognize a person, okay, this guy is Ankit, I knew him from 10 years or 5 years. This is basically a face recognition. So that's a liquid boundary between it. But that's very, that itself is a differentiating fact between detection and recognition. Now, the common example or application is basically the door locks. You basically recognize a face, and then you uh, try to unlock the door and lock the door. Now, talking about neural networks and face detection, the common technique that is being used in face detection is Euler-Jones. Now, Euler-Jones is works on hair-like features, and you can see in the GIF image, it scans every line of code in that red block and try to identify which of the features are basically constitutes to be a face based on 0 and 1 level. So you can see you could have watched or observed that there was some bounding box that occurred between that face of this girl, and there were multiple bounding box, which means that this algorithm Euler-Jones has detected that this part of the face is basically the face. The whole picture is a face. So you can see in a couple of seconds. So you can see one bounding box coming up here, and the next bounding box also coming up here. That's how it is. And then it detects that, okay, the picture and image consists of a face. Now, for this, I want to take you through a basic data set and want to give you a insightful about pandas profiling, wherein you will get to know about how to get the data and how to quickly make out data pre-processing task, where you need to write much of line of code, but you will still be able to pick out some basic insights about the data. So you can see here, I have some written line of code where I've just done it by myself. And let's start from beginning. There are a couple of libraries that you use for in order to accomplish a data science task. We call it as tools. For example, you have pandas, you have scikit-learn, you have numpy, and things like that. And this Python programming that we are going to use in our course is basically built on C program language so that it runs faster. But then still, Python is slower in computation than C programming language, and that will be forever. But there are libraries that helps you make Python faster than what actual Python computation task takes place. Now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some data which is of Titanic data set. which is the most common data set. And this data set, kind of these data sets, we will be using for basic getting started problems and not really a real life problems. Our real life problems will be more of live getting extracting the data. Now this data set consists of some passengers ID, survived people, class, name, age, and things like that. And we are going to get the data from here in our notebook. And this environment where I'm going to get the data is basically my Jupyter notebook. Now I'm going to start by importing pandas and then getting the data. Once this data, getting data is loaded, this asterisk right here will show up with 1 or some kind of number. That indicates that whatever you're trying to run has successfully run. And quickly, I want to take out the descriptive statistics that tells me a little bit about statistical point of view about what's the mean number of it, number of people, total number of people, maximum, minimum, and things like that. You don't need to really understand things in depth at the demonstration level, but then slowly when you come across in our courses, you take up the course and then learn gradually, you will be able to find the insights of it. Okay, why do we need standard deviation versus why do we need mean and median? So when I run this, it will still show me the same result. That's because it was run before. So I'm going to run it again. And then I'm going to use a pandas profiling that will help me generate the report of this 809 passengers. And to do that, I will have to import this particular library. And as you know, once this importing is done, it will result me in number 3. So this will show me that this particular program is running. It takes a bit of time because of we are trying to import the whole library at once rather than specific like we did before. Like pandas, in NumPy we have arrange and things like that. Now we are going to generate a general report about the above table. Now you can see it will take some time and then you can generate the report. And hence it keeps on going correlation and things like that. If I try to run the next line of code, which is profile, it will give me an error. But let me just cover up all these correlation interactions and things like that. Now, basically, it's trying to figure out how many variables are there, how many correlations, which data set, let's say male or female, and with respect to if he or she is dead or not. Is there any relationship between that? No. If there is, then what is the relation and how strong is the relationship? That's how it's basically trying to figure out by using some basic data pre-processing. Now this doesn't mean that you do this few lines of code and it's done, data pre-processing. You get some kind of data which is raw, like which is not really good enough for data scientists. For example, if you remember the example that I quoted before, you have an example of someone taking report from you about X perfume. He says, did you like it? You said, some of you said, yes, I did like it. Some of you said, no, I didn't like it. And the third person of your friends, he is quite naughty and he says that, I don't know. And he's trying to figure out, like, play around with that. So that guy who is taking up the survey will type something like nil or dash or something like that. But the person who is trying to put the data into that Excel format, he will put 0, 1, 2, 3, but this doesn't have any meaning in the real world. So we basically come up with deleting that row and perform some other data pre-processings. Now here, since the data set is quite clean, you don't need to necessarily think about cleaning and name munging and things like that. So this was quite helpful for us. Now I'm going to generate the profile and show you what this profile means and give you an overview about eagle eye view, about what the correlation, how many correlation it has, how many variables are there, some basic plots and things like that. So you can see you have overview. It says number of variables are 12, Observation number of total number of rows for 891. Number of variables means number of columns. Missing cells and things like that. You have variables, some plot about this. Survived, T class, name, age, and ticket, fare, cabin, embark, things like that. So you have this correlations. You can see a red color, which shows that there is a high correlation between fare and fare, which is uh, very natural. But then you can see that the lighter color of this correlation, such as this area. So for example, Parch has strong correlation with SIB SP, and we can see in our data after uh, uh, knowing inside or looking at the heads of it what these things looks like. And then you have missing values, sample, last rows, and things like that. So this way you can basically generate a quick insightful of a clean data, not the unclean data. So this will be helpful for you. This is basically about getting a data and trying to figure out making some pre-processing tasks with pandas profiling. Let's move forward with another demonstration where I'm going to demonstrate about the AI being used in real life. So this is a Google Draw. Basically, it's a team of Google people who are trying to use neural networks in order to recognize doodling. Doodling is nothing but drawing with some kind of pens in your laptop. Now, this is very helpful for young kids to learn things quickly, to draw things, and it will help them to realize or learn things faster. And when you have a neural networks, that means to give you a brief overview or background about neural networks. It's just something like how your brain neurons works. So you process some information through your eyes. You're getting the data through your eyes, and you're passing that information through your brains, and the neurons involved in the brains trying to pass information from one neuron to another neuron through with the help of dendrites and all the biological stuff. So that concept, this neural network concept, is being inspired by our neurons in the brains. And then we can see how this happens. So for anything you need to recognize, you need to know what it is. For example, if you can see any of the objects such as your laptop itself, to able to for you to recognize if this is a laptop or just another thing which looks like a laptop is a laptop, I need to make sure that you have seen enough laptops, enough size of it, and supercomputers or different size of laptops. So you can see it will how this works. And it says draw an ambulance in under 20 seconds. So okay, maybe I can just draw an ambulance. No, ambulance would be something like a box.
I see line. Or square. Or cooler. Or eyeglasses. Or barn. I see bread.
I couldn't. So it says
Sorry,
draw
I
dresser.
couldn't guess it.
I'm going to make it with some kind
I
of.
see marker. Or boomerang. Or drill.
If it is able to recognize through the use of neural networks, it will say, okay, this is your dresser. But if it is not, it will not be able to recognize because my drawing is very nice.
Sorry.
Let's try some other example if it is able to recognize a scorpion or not. So let me draw some kind of a scorpion.
Screwdriver. Or pliers. Or fork. I see lobster.
My drawing is very weird. Basically, it basically have some images as a data set, and whenever I try to make some outlines through my drawings, it will able to use neural networks and try to extract the features out of it, and will tell you that okay, this looks similar to scorpion, or if this looks similar to cooler or things like that. I don't know which cooler are they talking about. Let me just try give. So this is.
I see line. Or square. Or book. Or spreadsheet. I see newspaper.
It says newspaper. So this kind of an outline gives a shape of a newspaper to that data set, neural
Sorry,
networks.
I couldn't guess it.
So maybe octopus will be quite easy to recognize. So I'm just gonna
I see
draw.
potato or spoon. Oh, I know.
So it says,
Octopus.
so even we could recognize that this kind of a shape was an octopus. So this is basically a part of classification type of problems. And there are other things to try on uh, in this Google things, and we can surely see it as a demo. Moving back to our presentation, I wanted to ask a bit about this data science things. For example, do you feel like, is this data science new thing, or is the methodology that we're using today is a new thing? Can I have some response about what you feel about this data science being used in real life? So for example, if I talk about some data science task, if you remember one of your stores, nearby stores, or let's say Kirana stores or grocery stores, they are basically customer oriented. So they study their customers a lot. Who is a potential client? Which client buy a lot of stocks from them? Which client doesn't buy? Or which client is a bulk buyer versus a one or two pieces buyer? So basically, they entertain those clients which are their permanent client and they buy bulk versus who are their non-permanent client and they buy less. So this is basically a type of data that they gather over the years of, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And then hence they're able to take out the some schemes. For example, a grocery shop owner or let's say departmental store, which is close to my home, he basically gives a good offers to my mom because she's a regular buyer of that store, and based on the bulk amount she buys in for her home, let's say 5,000 or 6,000, whatever it is, so he gives a gift. So that's basically trying to attract the customer to our grocery shop or departmental store. And this is not even just now. So that grocery shop owner is not a data scientist. But the thing is, what I feel about this data science buzzword is that the methodology is new. The tools that we're using is new. Otherwise, this task of data science has been forever in India or for everywhere. So basically it's about getting the data from in and around about your problem. So your shop is not working properly. Possibly the recession is going on. Possibly there is some kind of wall that is being drawn in front of a gate. Maybe there's some nearby tensions, or maybe your food quality has gone down. So these are kind of your insights of the data that you can gather from feedbacks or things like that. After that, you can come up with some kind of strategy after studying how your customer responds. You can perform some kind of strategy, let's say free food or free tasting of the new dishes that have come up in my shop and things like that, or some bumper offers and all these things. And then you can attract more customers. Hence, you will be able to give a good boost to your sales. Another live example of data is we can just go live in our Google. I'm going to search something called McDonald and try to see some kind of data. And what kind of data it would be, for example, let's say I click on some random McDonald from the Google search, and let's see if it has some kind of um, data in it. No. Yeah, so you can see there is a kind of data here. So you can open up your Google and search of nearby, um, for example, McDonald's or things like that. And then you can see that this McDonald's over here has some kind of data. It says that this McDonald area is basically busy on, okay, so this McDonald popular time is 8 p.m. and on Sundays the popular time is basically somewhere around 5 p.m. Mondays are a bit less, Tuesdays are even more less, Wednesdays are still fine, Thursdays okay, but Fridays are a bit better because people usually have holidays on Saturdays and Sundays, so they prefer going out on Fridays. And you have again like a boost in Saturdays and Sundays. So maybe I can, with the help of this data, in order to bring more sales to this McDonald's, I can maybe propose something called, maybe you should keep something called veg biryani on Tuesday, or maybe like Kerala biryani, which is vegetarian and which is more delicious and will attract more uh, people to your Tuesdays. Or maybe you can keep a buffet system in your uh, McDonald's. This way it will increase your footfalls and hence your sales. It doesn't necessarily, this data doesn't necessarily depict that people are going inside McDonald's or checking in McDonald's. It says about this area being used by people popular times. And this is the way the real life use of data, and then you can convert that into impact in real life. Going back to our presentation, so you can see uh, this data science thing is not something new. It's just the tools that we're using with the help of Google, some libraries. We are able to get theoretical and practical data and then trying to use some algorithms, some programming skills in order to communicate that, remove some bad data, and then plot that and show some live, some predictive, or maybe like dead sure uh, predictions or possibilities. And this to-do list is basically part of my project that I personally is working on and wish to work on, which will be, which is basically what I do is I assign part of this whole project to my students, whoever take courses from me. So the projects that I have in this course is basically video transcription and also predictive analytics. And predictive analytics is basically used in IoT. So if you are a data scientist, don't expect, I'll tell you about the position of data scientist also. So if you're a data scientist or somewhere from data engineer to data scientist, if you work in a IoT company, you can also go into something called predictive analytics. And that is very useful in industry 4.0 also. That is basically a recent trend. Now, after taking up this course, do not expect that you will be a data scientist at the top level position, but it's just like those people who are actually data scientists would have a responsibility of the whole organization. Maybe you are some like 5-10 years. I'm just expecting from somewhere like 0 to 10 years of experience. So possibility you would get that position, hopefully. But then also doing this course and doing these projects, you will get insights of how you can use some numbers in order to perform some impact in real life. And some of the two projects that I have as of now is video transcription and predictive analytics. And with this, I want to conclude this demonstration and would like to ask if you have any queries regarding it. Any part of this that you didn't understand or would like to ask from me. And also about this course curriculum, we will have several case studies to discuss on, such as Airbnb or other companies, and we'll have everything hands-on rather than theoretical. And you will be able to be a part of the whole project that I'm working on, that is also being used in governments, that will be used in government in forensic department also. Not as in I'm selling them, but I got a requirement of the projects. And also once you do this, what I'm planning in future as you take up this course, So whatever project you do, that will be displayed in a website stating your name and what was your uh, aim of doing a project, and then versus what you have given as an output. It basically helps you to describe your project in real life, or maybe like showcase your project in real life. If you have any questions or if you have any query regarding the curriculum, if you don't have the curriculum, I can show you what the course consists of so you can have a glance of it. So any question, I'm waiting for participants to respond regarding this. So anything that you would like to ask?
Hi, Sharik. I'm Durga.
Hi, how do?
It was a nice demo. Thank you. I just have a question. So, in order to pursue a career in data science, uh, does that person need to have experience in big data? All that, all those technologies.
Uh, to be frank, data science is very vast field. It depends on which stream of data science you're working on. With regards to our data science, what we are going to learn, you will be taken about Python programming and machine learning algorithms, neural networks, computer vision, and Power BI. That is also useful in companies. But then with regards to big data, it is one stream of it. So it's basically this course act as a base and also an intermediate, after which you will be able to build on top of it uh, by yourself, or also by taking some courses, basic course like say some kind of blogs or things like that. So this will help you to get started and also to make you how to use a API, how to use some libraries by yourself also in near future. So yes, in future, if you need big data, you will definitely have no hassle in order to just get hands-on on PySpark, for example, or Hadoop, or these platforms are different. But then if you want to go into Apache Spark, which is in Python is PySpark, you won't have that much uh, hassle in order to get on that concepts if you need to switch. I hope this answers your questions.
Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Anything that I can help be helpful, or maybe share my experience where you get that more, um, let's say, more in touch with what you're going to learn, maybe how this data science is useful. Even if you want to know why do we need to study data science, or anything like from 0 or 10 level of question, so I'm up for it and I can explain you about that. Okay. I expect maybe the demonstration was concise and understandable. So if there is anything, we can wait. If if there is no doubt, I hope you guys join into the course. We will have a lot of hands-on, so you are that sure about what you're learning, and then what you're going to learn in future. And of course, as I discussed, there will be a lot of hands-on, a lot of practice, and I have my own personal projects that will be that can be leveraged to a company's startup plan also. But yeah, if during this course we are able to perform that whole task, definitely we can try pitching in different clients based on the projects. So I leave I rest my case from my end, and would be interested, would be glad if you guys join into the course so we can have a fun and learning together. So thank you very much everyone to joining to this demonstration. Any query, please get in touch with Anusha. So if there is any technical query, if you want to know how long the course is, how many hours will be taken every day, or things like that, and she can get in touch with me, and then I can respond accordingly. So thank you so much for attending this demo, and I see you guys in the curriculum. Thank you so much.